Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael.
This is Kleve.
This is Stephanie.
And welcome back to another exciting episode of
Friendship Supreme.
I almost did it again. We're the podcast that dares to ask if there was going to be a fifth Ninja Turtle, what would the name be?
Cardi B.
That guy?
That's a woman. Cardi B.
No.
She got boobs, Stephanie.
Turtle boobs.
Do you see those turtle boobs?
Guess so.
Shell boobs.
Let me tell you, there was an awkward amount of times where they showed her butt and tried to be like, hey, this is a sexy butt.
So today we're discussing Ninja Turtles, The Next Mutation, because I challenged Michael, who likes to find the good in everything, to watch this show because there's no good. There's no good in any of it. But he's going to try.
I've had to drink, hold on, I've had to drink this much alcohol to try to find the good in it. I still haven't found it.
Yeah, because I watched the show when it first came out. And even as a child, I remember thinking, this isn't good. Like, it's not great. I've seen better turtles. And I was not wrong.
You're so not wrong. I would, which I don't care for the animated version movie, TMNT. I didn't care for that. That was better.
I thought that one was really good.
I didn't think it was really good. It was, later on, I can watch it again and say it was okay. I would not say it was really good.
The worst thing that movie did was it allowed the other three movies to be part of that same universe, which means it included number 3.
Don't you ever talk about number 3 like that. I went back and watched number 3 again after watching Next Mutation, and it's still just as good as I thought it was.
Well, that's because you just got done watching The Next Mutation.
Right. You have to take things into context. There was number 1, which was amazing. Then there was number 2, The Ooze, which was okay because moms got involved.
Moms did get involved.
We've talked about this before. Stephanie, you may not know this. So the history of Ninja Turtles. Number 1 came out. Was amazing, right? Every little child was like, shit, get me some nunchucks. Let me go jack some stuff up. But number 2 came out. And so many moms were like, my kid's trying to jack shit up with a nunchuck, that they said, we're not going to use a single weapon in the entire second film. So you'll watch the entire second film not knowing that there's not a single time where they use the weapon that's either on their back or in a holster because they use other random objects.
I thought we used the nunchucks and the staff. We just didn't use the swords and the sai.
So the nunchuck, if you think back, the only time they ever used nunchucks is actually when they used sausage.
We did use sausage.
Yep.
On one episode.
So every instance in which they used weapons, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct. A little inebriated, but pretty sure I'm correct that there's not a single time in number 2 that there's actually a weapon being used. It's either kung fu, martial arts, or a random object that is comical being used as a weapon.
I believe they used it to block. They weren't allowed to hit with it.
That's possible. But it's rough. But number 3, 1, 2, 3, they went back in time to feudal Japan. The magic of it is the fact that they knew that there were 4 individuals of the exact same weight, because I forgot this was a stipulation. They had to be the exact same weight as the turtle to be able to transport back.
So the time machine was this like lamp, and in order to do it, I had to be holding it in my time, and someone who weighed the same amount of me had to be holding it in their time, and then it would swap us. Which really, if you think about it, could send you anywhere at any point in time that someone was holding it, weighing the amount that you weighed, not just Japan. Anywhere from where it was found in Japan to where they had it at that current time, you could have ended up. But also, yeah, 4 people just so happened to be holding it at the same time who also weighed the same amount as the turtles.
And the guy so the way it starts is that, why are we talking about number 3? Anyway,
That's you,
the
man.
way that number 3 started was April O'Neil was holding it, and some random like prince. He's not really a prince because that's not how Japan works, but a prince like character was also holding it, and they went whoo. And so then April O'Neil was in feudal Japan, and prince like character was in a sewer in New York in the 1990s.
93?
Yeah, somewhere around there. And then
Anyway.
he was like, aha, but there will be 4 priests that will be transporting this magic lamp to another area. And so you 4 ninjas can also just do that.
Out of all the movies, including Michael Bay, the worst one.
No.
Number 3.
No. I don't agree. The first Michael
You
Bay
never agreed to the
awful.
worst one being the worst one.
Yeah, the first Michael Bay wasn't great, but do you remember that elevator scene?
For whatever reason, I actually didn't mind it. As I told Kleve the other day, I'd never seen it because I was like, the first one was so bad I refused to see the second one. Went back, saw the second one with my child. It wasn't as bad as expected.
But do you remember that elevator scene?
Where they beatboxed? It wasn't bad. That was not bad. But there were redeemable moments in the third movie. There were. You remember the horrible parts, but there were parts that were good.
Right. Just real quick before we get into the next mutation, can you remind me? Okay.
No.
Cool. Good talk.
And I haven't watched it in a while.
Good talk.
I watched some review videos of it, but I haven't watched it.
Good talk. So, next mutation. Do you know when in the timeline this was set? Is this
was after
parallel universe?
Before 3, I believe.
Okay.
As far as like when it was actually filmed, it was before 2, or it was after 2 and before 3.
I meant like continuity wise, but okay. So Stephanie, just so you
There's
understand,
no continuity to this fucking piece of shit.
just so you understand the quality of this show, Kevin Bateman is one of the co-creators of the Ninja Turtles, if I remember that name correctly.
Eastman?
I don't know. Kevin something.
You keep going and I'll look at
Kevin Smith?
But if you bring this up to him, he gets mad. Like, don't talk to me about this. Don't ask me any questions.
Even the creator of Next Mutation is not happy with this. Like, the creator that actually was like, this is going to be a good idea. You can bring that up to them and they're not happy. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are the 2 creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those are the ones, and interestingly, Kleve and I have talked about this before, but never with you, Stephanie. The original creation of the Ninja Turtles was actually in a bar while they were both drinking, and was written on a napkin.
Oh, that's why it turned out so well.
It's actually kind of fantastic, fascinating. So the comic book, they were never color oriented. Like there was never specific colors that designated them. They were all red. They all wore red bandanas, identical bandanas. Do they have medallions with the initial? I can't remember.
No, that was all cartoon side of it.
So later in the comic books, they never really designated the different ones, but in the cartoon and the movies, they then designated them different because originally when it was actually created for adults because it was kind of violent, if I remember correctly.
Yes, very, very violent.
When it was made for children, when Uncle Phil was Shredder, it was not as violent.
Yes, very cartoony, obviously, because it was in a cartoon.
The creator or the developer of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Next Mutation was named Dan Clark. And he was a fucking asshole.
Dan Clark should be shunned.
Shot straight in the face.
I wonder if you have it done anything else since then. The reason that the colors took place is because in the cartoons they wanted the kids to be able to tell the difference.
That makes sense.
That's where the initials with the belt buckle. In fact, there's a TV movie that's called Turtles Forever, where it's like basically any version of the Ninja Turtles that you see, are just different universes. You know how they do that in comic books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the recent cartoon met up with the 80s or the 90s cartoon, and
Mhm.
Michelangelo was like, "Oh my God, these guys are so cool! Look, they have belt buckles with their initials on them. We don't have belt buckles with our initials on them. Why don't we have belt buckles with our initials on them?" But like, even they were too cartoony for that Michelangelo, and they started like frustrating them. So I couldn't help but notice that you've taken this time that we've been recording to talk about everything except the next mutation.
Oh, we're gonna get into that. Don't worry. Sorry, I was trying to find Dan Clark and what he's done.
Nothing.
He's not done shit.
He
man.
did that, and then they said you're not allowed to be near a camera.
That's really how it feels. I can't find Dan Clark anywhere, man.
There's a reason, man.
Anyways,
What is it? The Zach Morris stretch because he probably fucking killed himself.
Black Morris is trash. Those are the best.
I've been watching a lot of those and a lot of the a very special episode.
Oh, you know what's funny? On Wikipedia, they have like based on blah blah blah, developed by, and Dan Clark's name.
I
is
told you
not
that's
a
what I was.
link.
That's what I was referencing. The fact that Dan Clark is like, I don't exist on the internet.
He's unclickable.
Bro, the Beetleborgs fucking producer is still credited to other stuff. Anyways, okay.
I think that's
so-
next. I'll tackle that one. You did this one.
Number 3, by the way, is not as bad as Kleve makes it out. However, Next Mutation. So Next Mutation's iteration came after the animated series. Because the 80s, it was like late 80s, early 90s animated series, which was with Uncle Phil as Shredder. I cannot remember his name right now, but he played Shredder in the animated series. So Next Mutation comes out. And here is this iteration that comes out, and it's basically like, we want a female version thrown into this whole thing. And she comes into it, and she actually has a name that is not Venus. But because Yep, go, shoot.
James Avery. Uncle Phil.
Thank you. I thought you were going to tell me her name. She has an actual name. She has a I'm from Asia name. This one. She has
the
a
white
I'm
blue
from,
one.
She has a I'm a from
Don't touch
Asia.
her.
She says I'm from Asia name, but then because the other 4 are so just not willing to accept a different name than an English name, they said, nah, we're going to name you after the same convention that we're named after, because they're all named after famous
Painters.
painters. I was trying to think of a region, but they're all technically from all over Europe, I believe. Different painters. We have Leonardo, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael. I don't know where Raphael's from. And Donatello? I don't know where it's from either. Holy crap. Please look those up while I'm doing things. So then we had Venus de Milo, which is actually a famous painting sculpture, I believe. Is Venus the... I'm not educated in these things. Anyways, Venus de Milo is what we end up naming the 5th Ninja Turtle, who is light.
It's a sculpture. It's this.
That is the armless one. Yep. Okay, good. Armless, boobies out.
That would explain.
Right. Ninja boobs. Turtle boobs, not ninja boobs. So
Italian Renaissance, by the way.
it would be fair to say that I'm drinking some alcohol, by the way, because I needed to cope with the fact that I'm about to talk to you guys about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Next Mutation. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Next Mutation starts off with Venus de Milo's master getting trapped in the mirror world where the shinobi have trapped dragons. But don't you worry,
I had
because
forgotten that.
Master Shredder also visits this dream realm in which he meditates in, because it's only reserved for masters of their art to meditate in. So Venus's master should technically be in this realm, but he's been trapped by a dragon inside the mirror. So instead, the dragon's there. So there are 4, count them, 4 30-minute episodes in which they have to somehow introduce Venus de Milo to the 4 Ninja Turtles and magically make them all rescue Master Splinter. One of the cringiest moments in the entire series, 26 episodes, 27 if you include the Ninja Turtles meeting the Power Rangers, which we'll go over in a minute. 26 episodes. Cringiest moment is when she is trying to get them all to meditate to get to the same plane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And they all say, well, we don't meditate. That's not the way of the ninja. And she's like, well, I'm a shinobi. And let me tell you, 26 episodes, you constantly hear how shinobi and ninja are totally different. And if the Sega game Shinobi had anything to say about that, bullshit. They're the same. But anyway, ninja, shinobi, 2 different things. Shinobis are apparently magic because she does fucking bullshit magic the entire time. But anyways, so they're like, she's like, you need to learn how to meditate, and tries to teach them how to meditate. They're so worried about boning this female turtle that they're like, we can't meditate. And she's like, well, what do you guys normally do to practice your martial arts? So then they begin kung fuing. And she says, because you guys are so concentrated on your martial arts, it feels like you guys are meditating. And I can use that to then meditate and transport you to where you need to go.
I mean, that all checks out.
Stephanie, your face is exactly how I felt the entire time watching this.
How many episodes are we in
26.
at this point?
This is episode 2.
And how many are there total?
26. 26 episodes. You can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's 26 episodes. I've had half a bottle of bourbon, and I'm continuing on. We're going to have a drunk history episode of Kleve and I and Stephanie all reviewing different things. And it's only because I just really want to drink.
So I put in the chat the name that the 4 turtles were named after, and I know why we only know Leonardo da Vinci.
You know Michelangelo did too. Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel, didn't he?
The full name, though?
We don't know the full name of any of these, except for Leonardo da Vinci, because they have like 14 names.
I click chat. Raphael Sanzio da Albernino. Michelangelo di Lodovicio Leonardo. Nope, fuck you.
Donatello isn't even Donatello. It's Donato.
But he went by Donatello, apparently. But who's to say back then?
His nickname is longer than his actual name.
It's the Renaissance is the time era that you're thinking. Italian Renaissance painters.
Here's the thing. There was no female artist evidently in the entire Renaissance period because we just said Venus de Milo. Yeah, that's a statue. That's cool.
Well, think about it. I mean, women really weren't treated the best then. So
right, but Mulan existed.
Did she?
Yikes, dog. Okay, so anyways, it was one of my favorite moments, and I texted Kleve as I was watching it. So Kleve said, hey, Michael, you like everything. I put a positive spin on just about anything. And he said, please go watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Next Mutation and find a positive spin on it. I can't. Well, I can. I'll tell you in a minute. So anyways, the spin on this is that Venus somehow says, oh, there was a moment where Venus says, I want to save you guys. I want to save you and your brothers and your Master Splinter. To which one of the turtles, and I can't remember the turtles because at this point I'm further into the season. I've watched the whole season. I can't remember season 1 or episode 1 through 4, but I remember this line: "We're not brothers. We are just pet shop turtles that were all found together. And the reason that the specific line was put into this entire thing is for the 26 episodes, so they can all constantly make obscenely inappropriate comments about how they want to bone Venus. They want those turtle boobies all over them.
I distinctly remember that part of this show. Like, they're like, oh, no, we're not brothers. It's cool. It's cool.
Right. They're like, we're not brothers. We're good. We're good.
So if you want to be with all of us, you're not
Right.
even that bad because we're not
And
all
so
brothers.
the entire time we constantly have to hear Michelangelo say she's a bodacious babe. And all the rest of them act like they've never seen anything attractive. This is after the movie, the first and second movie, in which they have met April O'Neil and all have hit on her. This comes up later because there's a time where they meet a human being that they're attracted to, and they're like, I've never been attracted to a human before. Bullshit. Because Michelangelo and Raphael both easily try to have relations with April O'Neil.
It's a different universe, man. It doesn't count.
It all works together, man. It's all in there. So, before I go over everything that happens in this whole thing, I will say the positive that I have about this. Not graphics, the costuming and the makeup is actually pretty solid on the four brothers. Because they are very obviously using the exact same costumes that they used in the first and second film. It looks almost identical. The one thing I will say is that when they're talking or when they're doing action scenes, it's very obviously one of the costumes that they had that were not necessarily built for that. So they don't move their mouths a lot and they don't necessarily express a lot of emotion, where they kind of did some in the second movie, less in the first movie. When they're riding on, like, as I watched most of this, I was texting Kleve because I had to talk to someone about it. But while the Ninja Turtles were on either a bike, which is Raphael, or the Humvee, which is the other three brothers, and Venus, they all look like this while they're riding on their motorcycle or the Humvee the entire time they're driving, because the mask that they're wearing very obviously only opens their mouth and looks like that. At the same time, every single scene that is them coming out of the sewer that they live in, very conveniently, by the way, the sewer somehow meets with the normal street, which
Road
doesn't feel like it's possible, but that's the case. It always is the exact same scene. They filmed it 2 times, once during the day, once at night. And they just cut it differently, but like you can spot if you're watching all of them like I did, where you binge watch it, you can see like, oh, well, that's very obvious that this scene was the same as this scene, because like when the motorcycle drives by, you see a can kind of roll by it, and if it ever shows that exact same angle, you see the can kind of rolling by again. And that was, I think I spaced it out. I think it was like 6 or 7 episodes apart. They were like, no one will notice, and then they did it again. In addition, like, so watching this film, I was trying to decide. I tried to be meaner or like more skeptical of the things that happen, because Kleve always says that I'm overly positive. And so when watching this, I happened to notice, like, do I criticize them for 90s film errors, which a lot of, like if we think about Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, stuff like that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I blame them on the story? And let me tell you, they fail on both. As far as the graphic, yep.
Or what about the unwanted male attention? Is that due to time? Or
I don't like it.
The picture.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get to that in a second. There were probably, I would count them. So 26 episodes, I would say there was probably 10 to 15 times where it was to a point of uncomfortableness. where they were hitting on her or made comments about her that were like, this is very awkward. And again, so Kleve and I have talked about it off camera, that there is a female Ninja Turtle now that is super badass and apparently works really well in the environment. Good on her. This particular, within the 90s, they unfortunately made it very much like, we're gonna have sex with her. Weird comments all the time. And I hated it. It made me cringe consistently. Where I was like, that's not okay to say.
You know, there's a part in the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles where they see April O'Neil for the first time, and he says, "Oh, my shell's getting tighter," and I'm like, ugh. I don't like that.
Moments like that.
I don't like that at all.
Like, there was a lot of times where, again, like I said, Michelangelo calls her a bodacious babe.
I can get past that one.
But it's not just him that's constantly like,
right.
They all make weird comments about it. I wish I'd written them down. Instead, I focus on stuff like, God, why am I blanking on this? They would say turtleacious or totally turtleified. Those types of things. I would flaw the writing of the story. It was like they ran out of things to say, so they would consistently say totally turtleified. Oh, that's the new one. Good job, Stephanie.
Yes.
That's the new one.
Jenica.
She's apparently a badass. I am not up to date on either comics or cartoons of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I will be 100% honest. After the first 3 movies in the 90s, and then the one cartoon animated adaptation, I have not watched anything since then.
And you jump back into the Next Mutation.
And I jumped back into the Next Mutation because,
and it's gonna be another break.
So, like I said, like watching this, it was a matter of, do I focus on the fact that there is a lot of flaws in just random filming of it, like quality, or do I focus on storyline? So storyline was rough. Like I said, so first 4 episodes are all dedicated to the fact that Splinter is trapped in a dream world that they got to get him out from dragons. So after they get him out, then this dragon comes to the real world, and this dragon is much like a Rita Repulsa kind of character, in that it's a human, but it's got a dragon face. And it's got like a weird-ass henchman. So we go probably 3 or 4 episodes where this is the main villain. By the way, Shredder's in the first or second episode, out after that. Shredder's there. They somehow just absolutely demolish Shredder with Venus, and he just doesn't exist anymore. Foot's disbanded. There's no more Shredder. Now this dragon comes in. And this dragon happens to be just a badass. And somehow takes over the Rattata. Do you see the Rattata?
Yeah.
I brought it up. I hate the Raphael where it's all like cut in and stuff.
He looks more based on, you remember his pet Slash, who also got mutated?
Yeah.
That's who that looks like it's supposed to be. Like if an alligator had eaten Raphael and then put on his mask, it would look like that.
But so...
And then Cleve's favorite, that one.
Good God.
But tell me if you look at the costumes, though, tell me that it doesn't look almost identical to the first and second series movie. It just looks like low movie quality, but it still looks like the costume. Like the fact that it's not, I almost expect. So like Next Mutation, I am familiar with the lore, but like Kleve describing it to me 4 or 5 years ago when we used to work side by side together at
because you didn't know it existed.
Right. He brought up Venus de Milo. I didn't understand it. He brought it up. I then had to learn about the lore. But the way he described it, I almost imagined like just people painted green and then walking around. So the quality is not terrible. Give him credit. Those costumes are not bad.
Steph, I need you to send me that picture so I can make memes of it.
Considering
Okay.
considering the fact that we think about the fact that Power Rangers was only created because of Japanese shows saying, hey, we're done with these. Do you want to buy them? And American companies being like, yes, send us all of them. And then somehow making an entire show out of them. But anyways, only 15 years of my childhood happened like that. Is 15 years considered childhood? Anyways, so like I said, I think the costumes actually were pretty solid as far as like a TV show is concerned. So not sure where it was. Splinter gets essentially saved within the first couple episodes.
It doesn't matter where you were.
He gets saved in the first couple episodes.
You were talking about the dragon lady.
Dragon guy has a little like secretary, but like a little minion that helps him. It's weird because so dragons, right? And then they have like what's considered essentially the Foot, his soldiers, but they're dragons. And what that means is they're people, but with dragon-looking faces.
Mm-hmm.
It's really frustrating because he actually looks kind of like a dragon, I guess. But then his minion looks like this little tiny dragon puppet. Anyways, they get Splinter out of this. He's suddenly saved, and now so the dragon is a bad guy for like 6 episodes, and then suddenly we introduce 3 different sub-villains within an entire series. This is where Power Rangers went right with this. They had Rita Repulsa for like the first or second season and said like, here's my monsters that are helping me. Well, instead we said, here's the dragon villain, that guy. Oh my God. I have flashbacks. Holy shit. That guy. Stephanie keeps putting pictures behind her and it's terrifying me. So we had that guy. Do you have his, you need to find his minion, by the way, by the time I'm done with this. And so then they had also 3 additional villains to this. The first villain being a hunter, kind of similar to Kraven the Hunter.
Mm-hmm. I imagine not as cool.
Okay, so there was 3 new villains that were introduced. Dragon Lord was the first one. Wick was his companion. By the way, Stephanie, if you're looking for a picture of him,
It's very low quality.
Oh yeah, that's the quality I'm expecting. Like Dinosaur, the show. You remember I'm the baby. That show. Yeah.
Dinosaurs, not the mama.
Not the mama. Not the mama. Yeah. So then we had the 3 villains that were like side villains. Were Bone Steel, who was essentially Kraven the Hunter, but like a generic version of it, who reminded me of, and I've never played the storyline of it, but I've had to deal with the character from Grand Theft Auto 5, Trevor. Right. So he's like a white guy who's easily dealing meth and probably on meth.
Oh, for sure on meth.
I guess technically you would consider Dr. Queeze as a villain. He's trapped by the Dragon Lord and forced to work on scientific things that make him work on mutation. He is like if Neil Patrick Harris was forced to be a really cheesy villain. That's who I imagine him. Possibly Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik in the new Sonic movie.
I can get down with that. Okay.
And then there was Silver, who easily was my favorite villain of this whole film. And in fact, this whole entire TV series. And I feel that if Silver was made, the main villain would have been my favorite. He reminds me, as I texted Kleve, Cranky Kong. He's a silverback gorilla turned human who lived amongst the Bigfoots in the Himalayas and is a New York gangster. Then there was also the one I would have considered Silver. He's easily my favorite. There's moments where I would laugh so hard and I'd have seen screenshots to everybody that I was watching this film. On top of, because I didn't really think of Dr. Queese, but I guess technically he is considered a villain. Donatello, by the way, is super huge fan of Dr. Queese and constantly tries to like be his friend and say, no, we can work together. And there's like a whole episode where they work on scientific discovery together. And Dr. Queese is like, maybe I should use him, and doesn't. The last villain would have been Von Me, which is a Asian vampire whose heart has been stolen by the Shinobi clan. And in case you're wondering, Venus de Milo is a shinobi because she mentions it every episode of the 26 episodes that exist.
I remember you saying that. When you said it, I was like, oh my god, wait a minute.
Right. So there's this weird 3 episodes of
she's a shinobi.
3 to 6 epesodes that exist that are like all about the fact that there's a villain. Oh yeah, there's Bone Steel. Oh man, Bone Steel's good. Silver and Bone Steel are solid villains, and I love them. I love every second of them. Bone Steel is supposed to be like Craven, but like stupid. So he gets tricked a lot of times because he's used to hunting animals and not smart animals like the Ninja Turtles.
So like squirrels and deer?
Right.
Gotcha.
But Von Me is a vampire from Asia whose heart has been stolen by the shinobi, so she's trying to get it. But like that's the last 6 episodes.
Hey, is there anybody that deals with the shinobi?
In case you're wondering, Venus de Milo is shinobi.
Mm.
And what's weird is the shinobi video game would have me believe otherwise, that they are not necessarily a master of magical art. They're just a ninja.
Comment down below if they're different.
Apparently they are.
Or comment down below if you just know more about it than we do. That's it. Breathe. Breathe it in.
So as far as supporting characters go, Bone Steel, Silver, solid characters. Von Me is stupid. It was annoying, and honestly, she had 2 like little children as her sidekicks, who were old vampires, but they were young children, and it was super annoying as they whined a lot. That was the last 6 episodes. Bone Steel randomly comes in through episodes. Silver randomly comes in through episodes, and then the Dragon Lord's minion, who I believe is Wink.
Wink. That's an interesting name.
Wick. I'm sorry.
Okay.
His name is Wick, and he at one episode gets like all-knowing, powerful powers, and that's actually one of my favorite episodes because he just treats everybody like trash. Because here's this minion that it's like Jabba the Hutt's little pet getting to just suddenly get all-knowing, powerful. Right. And just treat everybody like garbage. So anyways, that's the story of it. The technical aspects that I just absolutely detest. As I told Kleve before, all of the exit scenes from the tunnel are the exact same. I don't understand why there's a turtle vehicle.
I was like, what is that? Because it looked like part of his hair also.
He jumped in my lap.
Every time that there's a turtle that leaves the turtle sewer, it's either Raphael who on a motorcycle, which is annoying in itself, or all the other turtles on a Humvee. And every time that Humvee starts, it has flames shooting out the back of it. And I guess that's supposed to mean like, hey, we're Fast and the Furious, serious shit, and things are gonna we're gonna go fast. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the Humvee always roars like a jaguar. Every time it goes, and then it just speeds off. And I can't, I don't know. There's a random episode where so the entire season, Shredder's constant like, hey guys, we're ninjas, and you have to act like ninjas, which means you can only go at night. And if you go out during the day, who did I say? Sorry.
Shredder.
Oh, man.
Man, this show really got to you. If you could mix those 2 up, it's no telling.
There's a point. I'll get to that in a second. So, you're right. Sorry, Splinter was like, "You're ninjas, and you can only go out during night, and you can't be out during the day because if we get spotted, we'll be exposed to the world." And at one point in time, they get a lottery ticket, and they're like, "We're gonna cash this in," and because it's Silver's lottery ticket, by the way, which is hilarious because comedy ensues. But Michelangelo's like, "I'm gonna cash this in, and everybody can get what they want," and he's like, "You can get a dojo, Leonardo," and Leonardo's super pumped about that, by the way. But anyways, Splinter's like, "You can't cash it in because they'll know that we exist." Why has this motherfucker got a goddamn chess player best friend that lives on the fucking surface and he goes during the day to go play with? Not today, Splinter. I'm not fucking with your bullshit. He goes up every day to play.
Is it a blind man?
Chess. He is. He's blind. Of course he is, Kleve. You know what? Good on you, man. How do you know what what's his name? Dan Clark? This sneaky son of a bitch. What's his name? Dan.
That's the logical move. How do you accept him? Oh, because I can't
I'm so
see
proud of
him
you right now. Can't even explain this. Dan Clark. You're in Dan Clark's mind like it's nobody's business. Yeah, he plays with chess every day with a blind man. But it's still, here's the thing. Splinter's still going out into public at a park playing chess. I don't care if it's during daytime with a blind person. Everybody's around him. Shoot, Kleve, what do you got for me?
To be fair, if I found out that my stepfather was going to the park at night to play chess with an old man, I would really question what's going on.
But it's not at night.
Of course he's black. Of course. Of course.
So the episode that she found happens to be at night, and it's only because this is the episode in which he finds out that he's going to be homeless. And Splinter's like, "Come live with me, no big deal. I've got 4 sons, but it's cool."
Wait, that's still homeless.
So he comes and lives with the 2 of them. Mind you, this man has to crawl down, climb down the ladder, because this is why I said it's after the second, at least after the second episode, because they're in that home essentially where it's like an underground subway sewer. But he comes and lives with them, and there's this really touching moment between him and Raphael, which is kind of funny because Raphael, he's the blind guy's like, "I'm really sorry to be an inconvenience to you guys," and Raphael's like, No, you're not an inconvenience. You're keeping us on our toes, and it's helping us stay alert, which is the dumbest shit in the world. He's just an inconvenience the entire time. But anyway. This is the only episode in which he meets this blind guy in the dark, and there are 4 episodes in which he has met this man. So 3 out of the 4 times he has met this man in daylight, in a park, playing chess. Fuck you and your ninja shit, Splinter, you son of a bitch, because I know you're full of it.
I question, as a blind man in a park who just plays with this guy who doesn't really know, that you start following him to his home, and you start thinking to yourself, what's happening? Am I going to be murdered?
There are a couple times where he does comment on the fact he's like, "Man, Splinter, you're really hairy."
Of course. You have to. You have to make those jokes.
There are times where it's very obvious that any other sane person would be like, something's up. But here's a blind homeless man, so obviously he's going to be like, "I don't care, whatever, put me in your home."
Also, do we give the blind homeless man the lottery ticket so that he can live and be a normal person?
No. It's an old guy that has the lottery ticket. Silver steals it from him. Michelangelo steals it from Silver, or finds it from Silver on the ground because Silver dropped it, and then talks about how he's going to cash it. And after 30 minutes, by the way, of it being like Michelangelo's going to cash it, and he's going to beat the shit out of Silver so he can get it back because Silver gets it at one point. Splinter's like, "Maybe you should give it to the old guy that's dying and could use it." And Michelangelo's like, No.
He's dying.
He's like, he's old. He's like,
he doesn't need the lottery ticket. He should want me to have it.
Right. That's Michelangelo. And Splinter's like, No. We're ninjas. And then suddenly he's like, "Oh, fuck. Let me give it back to him."
I renounce my ninjaism.
I mean, there are so many times where the story is just garbage, man. Like Splinter giving them shit about like you're not being a ninja, but then going on to up into the surface during daytime to play. Like, there are many times where they're daytime playing checkers or chess together, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not super secretive. Anytime they needed to like an ex machina kind of like escape out of something, suddenly, by the way, the shinobi knew magic and was like, I can solve this. Because there was never a time where she actually used a weapon. She had any kung fu at all. She just basically was like, shinobi magic. And threw balls.
I like that Raphael has like the homeless man's bandana.
He does. It's all ratted. I don't understand it.
Like nobody, like he gets all the hand-me-downs. Like Michelangelo's done with it, and he's like, "Here, dye it your color."
Michelangelo also runs a radio station the entire time he's doing all of this.
He always has like a nice little different
Weird, I don't
job.
understand it.
And the animated one, remember he had like the Cowabunga Carl, like the turtle birthday party thing. Are we going to talk about the ending? Because I think that's the worst part. Or
You
one
can talk
of.
about whatever you want, man.
How does the show end, Michael?
So how this ended, Kleve, and it ended me pissed off because I forget because I also then went after all this ended and watched the Ninja Turtles meets the Power Rangers, which we can talk about in a second.
Yes, because there's a crossover.
There is, and it has nothing to do with the fucking next.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
But anyways, no. The last episode is very much like a hey, we're gonna have another season because the last episode is a fucking flashback episode, which I hate the most. I hate flashback episodes more than anything in the world. You are just lazy as shit to be like, oh yeah, remember when this happened? And they do that the entire time. So essentially what happens is Venus is practicing shinobi magic and does this like trapped spell. All the 4 Ninja Turtles get trapped in it. All of them, because they're fucking idiots. You're trapped in it. Yep. You got a question, sorry.
So what you're telling me is to watch all of the Next Mutation, I can watch the last episode that has in it and basically get all caught up.
You can know. Yeah, no, it covers probably 6 episodes at least. Because it constantly says like, so they get trapped by Venus's trap magic she's practicing, and they're all pissed off, and they're essentially what it is there's a point of gravity, and they're all forced onto it. So they're all 4 are just piled on top of each other, which is just stupid. And she storms off because they make fun of her. They're like, oh, here's another shinobi magic that just got us stuck. Because, in fairness, 25 fucking episodes happen where the shinobi magic never works. Ever. Except for the one time where they're like, man, they're on the roof. I'm telling you, within those 4 first episodes, they're on the roof, and she's like, you guys are practicing karate so well that it's in tune with me, and I can, because she was trying to teach them how to meditate. And they're like, no, your karate's so fucking good. I've meditated for you, and we're all just going to go in the dream universe together because they're that fucking incohesive. Oh, my God. Anyways, okay, so the last episode, they all get trapped into Venus's trap, and she storms off because they're like, there's Venus screwing shit up again. And then she storms off, and Splinter at one point comes out and goes, well, in fairness, is she screwing up, or do you remember all the great times she was there? And then they flash back to 20 episodes in which she's like, I've saved you, I'm Venus, a bunch of times. And then she also is having flashbacks going, maybe my friends, not brothers, which they are her fucking brothers. But anyways, not brothers, her friends have also helped her and believed in her because she's shinobi magic. I need someone to do history research on shinobi and figure out if shinobis are really magical, because let me tell you, they really hang their hat on that shit.
I imagine that the whole brother-sister thing is like that one scene in Joe Dirt where where it's like,
Yes, that.
like
Like on the radio, and they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you fucked your sister." He's like, "No." Later on, we found out she wasn't my sister. It's good.
but he was like gonna have sex with her, even though that he thought it was his sister.
It was Brandy. Did you see her?
What's happening in this picture?
So they're all no. That's when they're all trapped. Thank you, Stephanie. So they're all like sucked in together.
Why is, it looks like
Derek. It was Derek, huh?
It looks like everybody had a great time and Venus is resting
Oh, it's Kleve. Damn it.
from the great time.
They were all. Seriously.
I haven't texted you in like since we started.
Well, that was 17 minutes ago. You texted me.
Oh, okay, no, the top 10 list. Yeah, I sent it in the group one. My bad. I was like, you got that one late.
So that one picture that Stephanie sent was when them all sucked together. So then, what's her name? Hightails it out, gets stuck fighting the the rank. That's what they call the Dragon Lord's minion, not the foot. The rank, which is the dumbest bullshit. Anyway,
I mean, I'm sure. To be fair, the foot's dumb. Like,
you hear the sound? Ready? You know what that sound is. There's more alcohol. The rank. Dumbest thing in the world. So anyways, they get sucked in together, right? And Venus goes off and it's like, I can fight people on my own because I'm empowered. But they can't. So this is the 90s for you. Women empowerment. But just kidding, I actually need my 4 male friends. They eventually get told by Splinter, hey, you guys are being jackasses. Go figure this shit out. And they then go help her. But 90% of this episode is a recap episode. Which very clearly means Dan Clark thought he was getting a fucking second season.
he said the ratings haven't been good, but let me give you a highlight episode of all the good stuff. And then you'll see how good it was. And all it did was remind everybody how terrible it was.
And Stephanie's reminded me of the bullshit Shinobi magic that fucking happened. And it didn't goddamn happen. She had little orbs that she threw at things and then did whatever Ex Machina happened. Needed fucking shark repellent? Sure. Whatever.
It looks like she's holding sparklers.
She was.
Yeah.
She's fucking Jubilee. So the real question is, like I said, Bone Steel needs to come back. I need that to be an animated character. Silver, I hope, is already a comic book or animated character because goddamn, he's a fucking boss. I loved him. He was a 1960s Italian mobster, but a silverback gorilla, and there was potential easily. He could have been one of the greatest villains to ever exist on TV.
So you think maybe he needs to hit the comics?
Absolutely. I hope that there's a comic book out there of him. In fact, you know what?
We need to look into it.
Yeah. Can someone text me about this so we can remember in the morning? Because I want to look him up. Because I think that needs to be easily a character that exists. Like I said, Fawn Me, stupid character, Asian vampire looking for her heart, has 2 children as minions. Like, they were part of the last 5 episodes. And it felt super out of place, didn't make sense, and was just really annoying. Stephanie, if you need to look it up, it's VANMHI, I think.
No wonder I couldn't find it. I was like, I don't even know how to spell this.
I can look it up for you. I have the characters somewhere.
I just scheduled a text to go out to you tomorrow.
VAM-MI. Mom Me. She was a real weak-ass character. She just, like, it didn't make sense. Like, there was no part, like, it was very much, I think they wrote her in earlier and were like, this is going to make it all make sense about the Shinobi, and then didn't. But the whole thing, the Dragon Lord looked campy and bullshit, but Bone Steel and Silver, there we go, thank you. Bone Steel and Silver were solid characters that could have totally carried the entire thing throughout. Yes. So episodes, garbage. Storyline, garbage. Graphics, okay.
You Miss Rose.
Stephanie,
What?
do you have any questions for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Next Mutation?
Did you enjoy yourself?
I forced every second of it. My
Would you recommend
child
this?
actually was okay with it. So
Would you recommend this to anyone?
That helps me. No, like, so I think about it like this. In the mentality of a child, when I was watching Power Rangers, would I have enjoyed this? Abso-fucking-lutely. I would have enjoyed it. I would have. Later on in life, I would have really hated myself, and it would have probably caused a lot of mental anguish. This train is long as fuck.
Did you?
It's funny, like I said, I remember watching this when I was little. It's not like I watched Power Rangers. I watched Beetleborgs. Beetleborgs slipped by me because that wasn't great either. But this one, I was like, this is not what you know what it is? I've had such good quality of Ninja Turtles that I knew this wasn't good.
What's interesting about that is that, so I think Beetleborgs, I don't know that I remembered like the introductory episodes. And I would tell you the same thing. So I would tell you that if you shaved off the first 4 episodes, even 5 episodes of this series and said, hey, here's a synopsis real fucking quick, I would have been more okay with the series than I was with having to watch the first 4 or 5 episodes. The first 4 or 5 episodes had to set up like a very basic bullshit explanation as to why we introduced Venus de Milo. You could have said, here's Venus, and I would have been like, whatever, cool. At 8 years old, I wouldn't have given a shit.
Hey guys, I've been here the whole time.
Right. It would have been like, hey, I'm from China. And I'm like,
Hey,
cool, come on in.
Hey, you locked me in the closet. I've been in there for like 8 years.
Oh, this is the best part. So within the last 5 or 6 episodes, I think Sam had a question I'll get to in a second. Within the last 5 or 6 episodes, suddenly Shredder fucking magically appears back as a homeless person. Like, I'm shriveled and homeless and I need help. And so then they help him. And he's like, I don't need your bullshit help. And they do, though. He does need their help.
I would have made him the old blind man. That would have been brilliant.
He played with that old blind man forever, though. Not Venus de Milo. Von Me being behind Stephanie and looking like that really upsets me. Every once in a while I look down and I'm like, son of a bitch, where'd you come from? Stephanie, did you have a question about Ninja Turtles Next Mutation?
Yeah. At any point while you're watching this, did you look forward to watching another episode?
Bone Steel. Absolutely. So Bone Steel's basically a tweaker. But like, there's moments where he's like, he twitches, and like, but there were easily moments where Bone Steel would happen, and I'm like, yeah, come back, Bone Steel. Or even Silver. So I showed Kleve's episodes of shit. I would take screenshots and send it to Kleve. And then also I have a coworker that I work with that is a big fan of Ninja Turtles, and I would send him pictures of it as well. And I'm like, look at this guy. What's up, Kleve?
You powered through 26 episodes, correct?
Yep.
What episode were you like, I really want to tap?
There's a solid like 4 or 5 episodes in a row with the Dragon Lord.
Mm-hmm.
The Dragon Lord's just rough. Like, he looks shitty. He looks like a fucking what are their names from Land of the Lost? The Sleeslack. He reminds me of fucking Sleeslack. Like, he just looks awful.
I would say an upgraded Gooba from the Mario Brothers movie.
Mm.
He just looks
small
terrible.
head.
He's a terrible character. Wick is better. When Wick has all ultimate power and makes the Dragon Lord his bitch, that is actually better. There's like an episode and a half where he's like, he has magic powers because he drank the potion that he was supposed to give to the Dragon Lord. I don't remember what Disney cartoon it was, Dumbo, when the elephant has hiccups because he's drunk. That's where I'm at. when Wick has powers that supersede Dragon Lord's powers, that's better than any episode Dragon Lord's in. There's a point in time where they're like, there's a dragon. Every one of the people, like the foot that work for the Dragon Lord, are referred to as dragons in the rank. Anytime there was a whole episode where they're like, Venus had like this connection with one of the dragons, and it's like, he's a good guy. He wants to save us. He ends up getting caught because he does save Venus at one point and ends up getting caught and says, I would rather live in the mirror, which is the realm that they live in that they can't do anything in. So he just voluntarily walks into the mirror, and it's super stupid. And I hated every second of it. So any moment that the Dragon Lord is involved was terrible. That makes sense.
There's a Venus de Milo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Facebook page.
Thank God.
And there's also a fandom that says Venus de Milo deserves a second chance.
You know what? I actually believe that. I think that...
Not if we're going to do this whole we're not brothers thing.
Agreed. But I believe that there's an opportunity for mystic arts to be introduced into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because there are mystic arts that are involved in Asian culture and ninja culture that could be potentially integrated with what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were taught. However, I don't need a 90s awkward Zach Morrison forced sexual tension between a female Ninja Turtle and the other male Ninja Turtles, which I would tell you at that age, I didn't think, oh shit, these are guys and they got PPs and they need to put in VVs. That's not like when I was like super like, oh yeah.
Are you sure?
Promise you, at that age, no. And the age that it's built for, it wasn't there.
Right. It's definitely outside of the demographic, what it should be. But at the same time, the ratings weren't the same, so I think you get a lot past.
Agreed.
There's a lot of children cartoons with plenty of adult jokes in there.
Courage. I still don't know how Courage got away with some of the
Man,
things that
Courage used to be wild.
Don't you do this to me, Stephanie! The one I'm curious about is Stephanie's questions, because Kleve, like you said, you've seen some of the episodes, if not all the episodes, at some point as a child.
Yeah, it's more of just how you handled it.
Right. Stephanie, who has had no introduction to any of these characters, do you have any questions, Stephanie? Is there a specific
I used to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've never seen this movie.
It's a show. 26
show.
episodes.
I never watched the show.
There's a reason.
I've seen movies. And I used to watch the cartoon. The old one, not the new one. Yeah.
There is a point in time where they integrate with the Power Rangers that makes zero sense. As far as and I didn't watch, so I am guilty of not watching any of the Power Rangers in Space episodes other than this one. But there are no integrations with the Ninja Turtles series and Power Rangers Lost in Space or in Space as far as the Power Rangers Next Mutation is concerned. Thank you, Stephanie. You're quick, and I love it. I don't know if it's inebriated, Michael, but I'm appreciating this random pictures popping up below me. No relation at all to the actual Ninja Turtles iteration. I don't know if they have some kind of, other than the fact that at one point in time they say, that's like believing the Power Rangers are real, and they all laugh about how the Power Rangers aren't real, much like we'd be like, old Thor isn't real, or Iron Man isn't real. That's kind of how they laughed about it. They're like, oh, it's just in comic books. But that was like early episodes, and then suddenly there's a Power Rangers crossover, and it never mentions it ever in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Next Mutation 26 episode run. There's not one mention of it. And it honestly, in watching it, I don't know that there was a reason in integrating the two.
The reason is because there were two shows on Fox that they were having on the time. I guarantee you anything that Turtles wasn't doing well and Power Rangers was.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Because I lived that crossover. I remember it, and I remember thinking, I'm watching this Power Rangers thing. It's a way. It's like how CW does now with Arrow and Flash and
poor
and all.
Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl now. It makes it easier if you're watching all the shows. You can watch just Flash, but well, obviously this wasn't a good representation of how to do it, but this was the idea, I think.
So yeah. So real quick synopsis of this episode: the Ninja Turtles appear. The villain in Power Rangers, which I can't remember her name, but anyways, she appears, puts them under her spell. They work for her. They go on to Power Rangers space station, convince them that they're friends. J'accuse. Suddenly they're not their friends, and they do bad things and help this lady take over their spaceship. And then suddenly something happens, power happens, and they are actually the Ninja Turtles again and help the Power Rangers take over. The best part in the whole thing is the Red Ranger, which I can't remember his name right now, and I would appreciate someone looking him up because it was a funny name to me. But the Red Ranger says...
Power Rangers in space?
Yeah, Power Rangers in space. Red Ranger originally says, I have a funny feeling about this, and I don't trust them. And the whole time while they're in space is like, I don't trust them. And he doesn't trust them. And guess what? He's right. He shouldn't trust them. But anyways, everybody else, all the Power Rangers trust him and show him all the cool things, and they break it. But in the end, the Turtles come to him and go, just kidding. We're on your side this time. We promise. And the Red Ranger's like, I don't know why, but I trust them. And they're like, yeah, this is good. Let's fucking trust them. And they all fight each other, or they fight the fucking bad guy and win. His name is fucking stupid. I can't remember it. It's like I'm an outer space man name. Please gonna give it to me right now.
I'm trying, man. There's so many characters in this fucking show. It's everywhere.
I never watched their show, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I never watched their show, but I watched Power Rangers, and I remember this episode.
What's weird is
they'll never made me watch their show.
I was thinking about this with Katie because Jameson watched this with me because she was watching them and loved the Ninja Turtles, loved the concept, loved the idea, was on board for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Next Mutation, which is why I said, ideally made for children. Makes sense because all she saw was turtles fighting, knew they were good guys, and was on board. Power Rangers, same thing. I remember Power Rangers. So I was telling Kleve before, the last thing I remember about Power Rangers was the second movie, which is when they were like animals. And I only remember it because I remember the Black Ranger randomly saying, what is this, pick on the frog day? And he got beaten up as a frog. All I remember. That's the last Power Rangers I watched. Kleve, go.
Did you know that was his line idea to throw in there?
He just randomly said that. That makes sense.
Like they did something, and he was like, "Hey, do you mind if I try this thing? Like, maybe I should be bummed out that I got a frog." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we got time." And then that makes it slightly cooler to me. I believe you're thinking of Andros.
Yep, nailed it. Andros. Which obviously sounds like a fucking piece of shit in space. Andros is like, in the beginning, he was like, I don't believe that everybody on Earth died. And then the second part is like, no, for some reason, I fucking believe them. And then they're on best friends. But anyways, garbage episode makes zero sense. No, it can't have any meaning in TMNT and has... I promise you can't have meaning in fucking Power Rangers in space. Just doesn't. But they said, let's tie this together because, yeah, that makes sense. And Stephanie's got a picture behind her that fucking...
sums it up?
Yep. But let me tell you, every 90 seconds I had to say, Total Turtlification.
Let me tell you, I read, or I have, the Turtles Power Rangers. Oh, sorry, it was Justice League Power Rangers, and it's also not good. So maybe it's just the Power Rangers aren't allowed to cross over with people.
In fairness, I have heard really good things about the Turtle TMNT Power Rangers mix-up in the comic books recently.
Where they're like mashed together.
I've heard really good things about them.
Oh,
I agree, but at the same time, from someone that is a very huge TMNT fan,
I
has
need
said
a
that
name.
they're actually
I
pretty
need a
good.
name. I need a
Troy.
name.
Troy has said it's very good.
Troy. Jesus, man.
Stephanie, do you have any questions for Drunk Michael? About TMNT. Hold on a second. Don't get too excited.
I mean, no, it sounds awful. I never want to watch it ever.
Please go watch it
Good call.
so I can share in misery.
But she can't, man. She's got to start on the Beetleborgs.
Oh, that's true.
Apparently, there's
Big
episode.
bad Beetleborgs.
Go take a nap, man. Sleep it off.
But yeah. Do you guys have any other questions about Ninja Turtles Next Mutation?
I'm good with never speaking of it again.
If any of you guys at home have any questions, please comment down below, and potentially Silver Michael can answer those questions. Maybe Drunk Michael, honestly. You put DM or SM, and I'll make that one respond.
You can ask us questions on our social media. We have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter. They are all Friendship Supreme, except for Twitter. There are no I's in the word friendship. All I's are on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com and search Friendship Supreme. We have a Patreon where we appreciate all support we get. It is patreon.com/Friendship Supreme. We also have an email if you just want to send us questions directly, friendship.supreme@gmail.com. We appreciate every comment. We appreciate every like, every subscribe, every bell notification, every review, 5 stars. All of it is very much loved.
Yep, you can start donating to us as low as $5 and get extra content, or $1 if you just want to support us. Stephanie's doing something down there. I don't know. You guys never get to see Stephanie, so this is honestly a treat.
She's been down there doing Shinobi.
Stephanie, if you done Shinobi magic while I'm doing this, hats off to you. Everybody, I've been Michael.
This is Kleve.
This is Stephanie.
And you mess with the monkey and it gets funky.
When they mess with the monkey, it's gonna get funky.